Welcome back to the Arvo Flow Sports Hour. It's time to talk about the English Premier League. There's plenty going on there, and we're going to change things up today. We've got a new correspondent on the airwaves for us. His name's Reece Bruinsma. He hosts a community football podcast called Conversations with Canaries, and he joins me now from Vancouver, which is where we're getting all our on-air talent at the moment, it seems. Great to be with you, Reece. How are you?
I'm excellent, mate. Thanks so much for having me on. The Vancouver time difference makes it very nice to watch Premier League games, so I'm well informed at the moment.
Very jealous to hear that, Reece. Let's get into it. We'll talk about the games that happened this morning, Australia time. We had Brighton drawing 0-0 with Nottingham Forest. You sat up and watched these two fire a blank, Reece. What was your thoughts on this game?
I tell you, as far as a 0-0 draw goes, this was about as good as it gets. It was end-to-end. Brighton had close to 20 shots. Dean Henderson was pretty immense between the sticks. But, now it's about 3 games without Brighton scoring goals. So a few alarm bells there for sure.
Now, Crystal Palace got a win over Wolves, and Patrick Vieira, the manager of Palace, is being credited for his win-loss record. So seems to be the right fit for Palace. Would you agree, Reece?
Absolutely. I think I was slightly concerned to see them go down pretty, on the about 30-minute mark, but looks like they dug deeper. I was watching the other match, but Palace just kind of keep ticking along, not really stealing any headlines, but doing their thing.
They sure are, and Wolverhampton Wolves, they're not really going as strongly as they were a couple of years ago in the Premier League. Some managerial changes haven't helped their cause, but we'll move along, Reece, and discuss some of the headline games from the weekend. Obviously, the big one, Liverpool hosting Manchester City, not without a bit of controversy. A disallowed goal from Manchester City added to Pep Guardiola's frustration on the sideline. But a pretty emotionally charged game. Some comments being made in the prelude to the kickoff as well, not helping things on that front. So what did you make of this one? It was a good spectacle in the end.
These games are amazing. I think, it's the closest thing to an El Clasico that we've had in the Premier League, at least since I've been alive, maybe since, the early days of Arsenal, Man United, when around the Invincible era. But, they're so good. Either team could have won on the weekend. Liverpool got it this time, but, on another day, I think, who knows what could have happened. The disallowed goal was an interesting one. I think it was probably a foul. It was just a long way in the build-up for me, but, that's what VAR is there for, so I can't argue with it.
I don't know about it, Reece, as a Liverpool fan as well. I would have been pretty frustrated with that one if it was from my end. But 1-0 for Liverpool in the end. Manchester City, their what seemed to be unstoppable form coming to an end at Anfield. Man United hosting Newcastle. Manchester United, certainly they've had their troubles throughout the season. They haven't been the best side to watch, but when it's really counted, they've been able seemingly to get the result that they need to get, but not on this occasion, drawing 0-0 to Newcastle at Old Trafford, who are no walkover these days, Reece.
No, Newcastle, it's a bit of a tricky proposition to kind of get your head around, for me at least. Same with United, I guess. I think from a Newcastle perspective, probably a great time to play United, especially at Old Trafford, kind of, get that fixture out of the way, and then who knows what can happen when they make the trip up north. But, interesting. United kind of seem on a downward trajectory, and Newcastle kind of seem on an upwards trajectory. So I think potentially both sides would have taken a 0-0.
Yeah, I wonder what Manchester United fans would say if you offered them Newcastle's owners right now. I think they'd take it, despite the controversy that's clouded the Newcastle acquisition in more recent times, given the expenditure that it seems Eddie Howe might have access to in the coming weeks. I want to get your thoughts on Arsenal, Reece, because they keep on keeping on. A handy 1-0 win away to Leeds. Do the Gunners have it in them? There's people already talking about, well, are we going to get that same old December implosion that we're sort of seeing become synonymous with Arsenal and their fan base sort of all cracking it at one time collectively, it seems, over the years. But so far, so good for the Gunners. They can only beat who's in front of them, and they are really leading the pack right now, Reece.
Yeah, they look like the real deal. I think from the spectator's point of view, particularly a bit of a mutual like myself, um, even if they don't win, it's great just to have someone else on top. Like I was just saying that those Liverpool City games have become so entertaining. Now all of a sudden we've got another big fixture. We've got City to play Arsenal, Liverpool to play Arsenal as well. So like from a spectator's point of view, I think it's awesome that they're up there. Whether they can keep on, I'm not sure. They have looked. There's no reason to think that they can't. Perhaps a little bit of depth might be the problem, but let's not forget it wasn't that long ago that Leicester City, scraped 1-0 wins, 0 draws, all the way to the title with an even thinner side than Arsenal. So nothing's impossible.
Yeah, that's it. Before we get to looking at the upcoming fixtures, some reports perhaps prematurely coming out in recent hours that Steven Gerrard, the Liverpool legend, is or was to be sacked by Aston Villa. Now, they lost 2-0 to Chelsea. They haven't been going well. We know that much. I want to ask you, Reece, Steven Gerrard, formerly at Rangers, it's where he began his coaching career. Do you think he spent a long enough time there? Did he cut his teeth to the point where he'd be ready for a Premier League job, which is a whole different kettle of fish, as we know? Gerrard, if you were him, would you have taken the Aston Villa job, Reece, when it came up?
Yeah, if I was him, I think I would have. Whether I think he's ready, it's hard to say. It looks like Villa don't have a real clear route to goal, or even kind of a game plan at all. To be honest, looks like they rely on a lot of individuals, and I mean, yeah, the proof's been in the pudding, or the lack thereof, with their results. But so interesting that those reports had come out. I tend to think that there's no smoke without a bit of fire. I did see on Twitter about the same time. I'm not sure if this is where the story originated, but there was some photos circulating on football Twitter that he was in a Liverpool pub, looking incredibly inebriated. So I think the theory was that he was dismissed and then blowing off some steam. But the club's come out and denied all that, so who knows? For me, I think it's watch this space for now.
Well, we know one thing. He wouldn't have had to buy any of his own beers in a Liverpool pub, Reece. Let's move on and talk about the upcoming fixtures we've got. These are going to be played tomorrow morning. So we'll start with Man United hosting Tottenham. A massive game here. If Manchester United can win this one, it will certainly boost their top 4 credentials and maybe even title credentials, but let's not get too carried away. How do you see this one going? Because Tottenham, even though they're not really grabbing headlines, Reece, they are keeping pace with the front runners right now.
Yeah, I cannot wait for this match. I think for me, if I was going to give you a prediction on the spot, I'd say Tottenham are probably just my favourites. They're looking, I guess, for the first time in many a year, they're looking incredibly hard to beat. Obviously, Conte's in. He's not necessarily a defensive manager, but I think he's much like that kind of Italian old school approach. They build from the back. Especially away at United, I think if they can keep that United attack quiet, they've got every chance to snatch a winner.
Liverpool hosting West Ham. Now, Jurgen Klopp's been charged by the FA for his behaviour in the Manchester City game on the weekend. Liverpool need to start picking up points, Reece, because that window of keeping pace with the clubs that are circulating around that top 4 is going to start to dissipate soon if they don't start winning the games that they need to win. West Ham won't be the easiest of oppositions, even though they're not what they once were under David Moyes. Seem to be a little bit more blunt on the forward side of things this season. But Liverpool, they're under pressure. It's certainly showing, Reece, at least in my opinion. What are your thoughts? Can Liverpool get 3 points in this game?
Yeah, I'll be surprised if they got anything other than 3 points, especially after the result against City. They've got to be, that's about the biggest confidence booster you can get. So if they're looking to get played into a bit of form off the back of that one, you'd assume, or you'd certainly hope, that they've got their towers up. So I'd be surprised if there was anything other than 3 points going to Merseyside on that one.
Now, Leicester City host Leeds. This game is winnable on paper for Leicester, but their form makes them appear pretty untrustworthy right now, and Brendan Rodgers really seems to be on the nose at Leicester. We've even had fans wanting to buy birthday scoreboard messages and framing them in a way that appears to show that they want Brendan Rodgers dismissed. So, you know, when it's that toxic in your own fan base that you don't have long. If there's a loss on the cards here for Leicester, is he done, Reece?
I'm shocked that he's still there at all, to be honest. It feels like they want someone else and they potentially just don't know who to get, so they don't want to let him go yet. But honestly, I've got a bit of a soft spot for Leicester, but what a mess at the moment. I have serious concerns because, you know, at the start of the season, when you start slow, there's a lot of football to be played. It's easy to kind of kick it down the road and say, oh, we're going to get points, we're going to get points. Before you know it, Christmas is around the corner and you're in a relegation fight already. And then every game is a must win. And when every game is a must win and the pressure's on, funny things can happen. So I think they've got to get their act together, and they've got to get their act together fast, because it would be pretty sad to see a club that, you know, was lifting trophies not that long ago go down. So we'll see. Watch this space.
For sure. We'll finish with Bournemouth hosting Southampton. Now, Bournemouth, interestingly, they've really corrected their form since that horrific display at Anfield. They haven't lost in their last 5 games. From the Southampton side of things, Reece, everyone enjoys that we've got a Ricky Lambert in the office here who's a Southampton fan, but not having the greatest of experiences right now with his Saints at the moment. They are in the relegation zone. So can the Saints get a win against Bournemouth in this fixture? What do you reckon?
Yeah, a bit of a South Coast, not quite a derby, but
close enough.
Yeah, close enough. All my concerns that I have about Leicester, I think you could probably apply them to Southampton as well. I think they've kind of just escaped the drop a few years now. So it's interesting when you see, you know, one team that's come the opposite way. They've come up a league in Bournemouth. They've got a bit of a point to prove, and they play nice football as well. So come up against a team that seems to be completely devoid of confidence or any kind of route to goal. So again, it's two teams of contrasting fortunes and seemingly ambitions as well. I reckon a Bournemouth win would be the most likely result.
He's the host of Conversations with Canaries football podcast, Reece Bruinsma. Great to have you on the Arvo Flow Sports Hour. Done a fantastic job filling in for us with our English Premier League coverage for the week. Look forward to speaking to you again down the line, Reece. All the best, and thank you very much.
Anytime, mate. Enjoy the football.